Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. This is Ysanne Lewis on Radio Works World talking with Marina Nani. Hello, Marina.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Ysanne is here, which means you are here, which means the world is a perfect place this time round. Over to you, Ysanne.
Thank you, Marina. Well, hello again. And last week I was talking with you. I was asked to talk about my personal story, particularly relating to my work. I've been an astrologer for 37 years professionally at a time in the late 70s when it actually wasn't too difficult to be self-employed, and there was always jobs out there, and I'd had a background in different things. So I thought, well, let's just try it. And I really wanted to help people. And like many of us, I thought, well, how can we fit into one of the 12 signs of the zodiac? And then, goodness me, what a big shock. I had to go and learn it. It took me several years. All the mathematics before computers, incredible map that lives within us and in the heavens. Much more to it than meets the eye. And I realized that I was given a gift, a good friend to walk beside me, to help people to harness, get in touch with their beauty within, their inner map. And this is very relevant to what I want to talk about today, because I feel we're living in a year, it's been going on for a little while, but particularly this year, where there's a great feeling I'm hearing of uncertainty. Do you feel that too, Marina, at times?
Yes, I do. And you know what, Ysanne? I absolutely love it. I can't wait to see what's there. I'm really ready. I feel that whatever it is, I will I will enjoy it and I will embrace it, whatever it is.
Right, I love that. And of course, you're not alone with that. I feel that as well. Though, of course, there are moments when, because we all are like a big hologram, every part contains the whole. We are all interconnected more and more nowadays. Our sensitivities, that web, if you like, that connects us is much more accessible. And the not downside to that, but the sometimes challenge is to be aware when we pick up on the collective and some of the negativity out there, which is in the collective, and the fear. And I think it's so important to see uncertainty like a child always feels. Let's face it, when we're born, we must feel like that. What is it all about? We've lived in quite a secure world in many ways where we feel everything is structured or can be. And I think there's a big test for us all. I prefer the word task of having that sense of excitement rather than fear. Yes, there are uncertainties out there. There are unprecedented things going on, potential wars and what's going on in Europe and how we're going to link in with it in Britain. Many, many things in the economy. But, you know, it's not the first time. And maybe we've been lulled into a sense of a little bit of false security. And the planets, as usual, are mirroring. They're just reflecting, they're not causing. This task that we all have collectively and individually to get in touch with our own inner authority. Now, that's a big statement. We often, with authority, either hand it over to others or we are scared of it. And we don't, or we're not literally many times encouraged when we're young to have a good sense of that inner authority. It's a quiet, it's a gentle, it's a firm being, if you like. And in astrology terms, it's linked with the planet Saturn, who is our firm teacher. And when we respect ourselves, therefore other people will respect us more, of course. We find that, don't we? But Saturn is where we have to take off rose-colored glasses and have a sense of that we have a say in things, that we are not victims, that we can create what I call healthy boundaries for ourselves, how much we allow ourselves to be drained by the outside, when we need to have time to be with ourselves. I've had a week or so of having a lot of time with myself. I thought I was tired, but I think I just needed time for me. And you imagine, Marina, what test that can be when you've got to earn an income and so on, you live on your own. And I really learned something through that, that our needs are met, that it's good for the well to empty, to fill up again. But that is trusting one's own inner authority. Now, that's one side of the coin, because the planet Saturn in the heavens is being angled into, a nice task one, by the planet Neptune, where we have our dreams, sometimes where we have our illusions, our fogs, and where we can actually open up to higher sources. And I feel that this particular angle in the heavens, those two planets, and therefore within ourselves, all of us, obviously where it falls in our individual charts can particularly activate certain areas of our lives. But generally speaking, I feel it's a question at this time, this year, of working with our inner authority, letting it walk beside us, being firm but gentle with us, self-respect, knowing our limits at times. Our human bodies can be frail and we need to look after them. The spirit within us wants us to do that. The Neptune energy wants us to be much, much more tender toward ourselves, much more tender. And that word tenderness has come through to me a lot lately for all of us on Earth. How do you feel about the word tenderness, Marina?
Well, while I was working, and I was working full-time, couple of jobs, like being a mom, being a single parent, and running my business, and dealing with life-crushing demands on myself and being really all by myself in a foreign country. I never realized that I have to find time to
Yes.
discover who I was. But since I retired 3 years ago, I discovered that it's not being kind to other people that makes you who you are, but being kind to yourself.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
since everything changed, since I understood that being kind to yourself is opening the door into who you are, and therefore opening those gates into the world, so you allow yourself to come into the world the way you are, without thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not smart enough. Just find yourself, reinvent yourself, and come
Absolutely.
out with everything you got, but go all in. Because
Yes,
unless you understand you have to be kind to yourself and accept yourself the way you are, you cannot grow into the person you want to become.
beautifully, beautifully put. I'm so glad I asked what you thought about that. Because, you know, we all have natural diaries within us, natural calendars. We are very aware of our cycles. And our soul, the universal intelligence, which is love, wants to help us, but we have to help ourselves as well. And we're taught so often, I think women particularly, to put ourselves second and not to be selfish. And I like to think about the word selfish with a capital S, meaning self, is that we need to take times for doing that. And that the outside world can be a great critic, but more significantly, our own inner critic. And that's the downside of the planet Saturn. The inner critic wants to wag its finger at us. So the beauty of this planetary angle in the heavens at the moment, which we're all experiencing on this planet, is about getting that greater sense of who we are, our own inner parent, if you like, not handing that to the outside world. And also being tender with it, as you would do with a newborn baby or lamb or plant, yes? And I think that fear is, or should we call it not even fear, but doubt is the biggest dissuader. It weakens us, it dissipates our energy. And yes, there are very interesting, it's like the clouds moving overhead. Things are moving quite fast at the moment. Planets in the heavens and what we call the mutable signs of the zodiac, the moving on, communicative ones. And things are moving very fast. So therefore, we do need to take a step back occasionally, if only for 5 minutes, because if we don't do those 5 minutes, then we need to take more time out. That's the irony. And that's when we mustn't be hard on ourselves, but say, yes, I've learned that one. And really work with our cycles, with our cycles at this time. So I feel that's quite a beautiful thing to be aware of. Because many people are telling me they feel quite uncertain or quite stuck, and they feel separated from, yes, indeed, they feel separated from the outside. And indeed, they're not. That is just the illusion. And I came across a lovely quote, and I can't remember who wrote it. I'm sorry about that. I can check it. But it says, "Today I'm feeling like a puzzle piece, wondering what my fuller expression is. I seek to match the contour of my life against the unknown nextness that edges in on me. I'm alternately frightened and excited in my knowing that the larger pattern will build itself upon the shape I give this day." And there's been so much information around about mindfulness, being present, but never more, I think, than this year, which is so, so magical. And I agree with you, Marina, it's a very exciting time and a wonderful opportunity to be more than we think we are, how we've been conditioned. And I think if we can, like I think it's like, not advantage, but I'm blessed with having this knowledge of cycles, of what the above is telling the below, if you like, as above, so below. And even if we don't have that knowledge, it is embedded within us, and we just have to take that deep breath and feel those cycles at work, and when to ebb, when to flow. And we don't have to get everything done tomorrow. Sometimes it may be one step back after two steps forward. That's okay. But being tender toward ourselves is so important. I've used the word gentleness a lot in the past, but I think tenderness is probably a very important key word for this spring and summer. Does that sit with you well, Marina?
Wow, it opened a new door for me, actually.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ysanne. Thank you. And I'm writing down, and
yeah,
I'm thinking that unless you trade excitement for fear, confidence for doubts, unless you trade your old self for your true self, there is no way on earth somebody is going to come to you and say, "I love you," or come to you and say, "I need you," or come to you and say, "Help me." But once you are kind to yourself, you start that tendering process. It's almost like you allow the best qualities in human nature to surface and come out and grow and make the change you want to make. You always wanted to make that change. It's just you don't know when. And I'm saying right now. When is a better time than right now? Yes, times are uncertain. You can't control that. But it's one thing you could control, because you are a human being. You are not a human doing. Control your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Absolutely, indeed. And that's when things like meditation, mindfulness have never been more important. Such an important time for this. We're becoming real spiritual adults now. And I think that's quite, it's just beautiful, isn't it?
Wow.
And what I'd like to do
I'm wowed. I'm wowed.
my talk to you all, I'd like to talk a little bit about the lunar cycles, about the moon, because there's some interesting cycles going on at the moment. And I think that the more we can be in touch with our inner home, which is very much to do with the moon energy and the link with the earth, as well as the spirit, I think this would be an interesting subject to discuss next time, and to give perhaps listeners some timings on this, if you would like that.
I would love that, and I'm sure our listeners will be so ready to embrace that topic, because certain topics, they seems a bit too much, and we both know there is no such thing like too much. Once you listen to your show, you realize that actually you are part of it. It's for you.
Yes.
And you are not less than other people, and you are not here on earth just to wait for things to happen. The world is waiting for you to wake up and happen yourself. The same way, like when things are happening to you, you are thinking, oh, why is this happening to me and it's not fair? Well, it's happening for you, so you understand
Yes.
what you are made of and how powerful you truly are, and how to work with your own inner authority.
Yeah, inner authority is perfect, because this lovely archetype or being we call Saturn is so many things and has so much bad press over the centuries. But I think that when we learn patience, the real meaning of patience, when we learn about controlling, like you said, our thoughts, what we choose to do, being able to say no sometimes, that's a good sense of control. When we get that inner parent harness, Saturn almost like has a big smile on its face and says, yes, now you got it. This is the purpose of incarnation. I wanted to mention one thing before we finish, if I may, just for your listeners to be aware of, all of you. The planet Mercury, which is all about thinking, left brain, communications, technology, is in its 3-week cycle approaching. It happens 3 times a year for 3 weeks, where it goes what we call retrograde. Big word, that, but it's where it appears to move backwards due to its relative speed between itself and the Earth. And the prefix RE before words and actions become very important in the next few weeks, starting from tomorrow evening. And so think about prefix RE, rethink, maybe redo, re-edit, revisit ideas. People can come back into your life. Even lost objects can be found sometimes. It's a wonderful opportunity time, these 3 weeks, to work with the right brain, the intuition, not perhaps pushing decisions too much, but reflecting on things. And you'll find that it's a very valuable time for retracing things which are of importance, particularly things you may have forgotten. So I'd like to leave you with that thought.
What a wonderful thought, Ysanne. Thank you so much from both of us. Until next time, connect and work with your inner authority. Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.